did he say that was different from that? Because I missed that.
I'll let him speak for himself.
Okay.
So in the sociological literature, black fatigue refers to black folks being
We're talking about black fatigue here. How did we get to black fatigue?
Can I make my statement, please, sir?
Okay.
All y'all can make statements really, but now I'll say it. In sociological jargon, black fatigue refers to black folks being tired of dealing with racism and white supremacy. It comes from sociological jargon, and some people making up their own definitions of it. That's not the scientific approach. So now, how can it be reversed if it's coming from that sociological jargon? You see, these are attempts to shift the narrative. These are informal fallacies. They try to redefine things to have different definitions. If you want to attack an argument, no one make it. These are games of reasoning. You got to be careful here.
Yeah, they've taken on new definitions.
No, I'm
Sam,
sorry,
what were you saying? The definition?
Okay. Is it possible, ASR? So what about white fatigue? Because you just told us a whole bunch of stuff about black fatigue. I thought we were talking about white fatigue.
I'm saying white fatigue is a response to that sociological fatigue called black fatigue. So what's happening now is that now this has been exposed by white folks like Joe Fagan, Peggy McIntosh about racism and white supremacy. There's been a counter movement to not deal with that argument and then coming up with concepts like white fatigue. Even a lady is saying it's changing. It's changing because it's not scientific. So if you look at the bigger picture, you have think tanks that put this out to the communities. That's all they do.
Changing because languages change and words change meaning all the time. There's nothing that fixes like references in language. People just change what they mean by terms all the time. That's why it's not some sort of like conspiracy. It's just that's how language.
No, I'm saying you have
to think in language. Now, I made this room because I wanted to. People accuse me of only talking about black people and Muslims, and that I wanted to talk about white people and have black people have a space to sort of like air their grievances. And I wanted to sort of have, that conversation of like criticism of white culture because I thought it was like an interesting change of pace, and it was interesting for me to sort of like explore that. I don't usually do this, like say things in defense of criticizing white culture and European history. I'm usually doing the sort of anti-woke stance, so it was interesting for me to take the kind of like the pro-woke stance, the pro-criticizing whiteness, criticizing European history stance. When I was doing it, I was noticing that I was like omitting things. So I would bring up like all the horrors of Europe, but I would never bring up like, the great things about Western culture, things that I love, things like, separation of church and state and like the legacy of Greek philosophy and the Roman philosophy and the Christian tradition, the Christian philosophical tradition, like property rights, like there's lots of like the scientific method, the Industrial Revolution, like Kant, Mill. I wasn't bringing those things up, even though I think they're really valuable. I think that, if we're going to discuss what we dislike about certain cultures, we should also either we shouldn't do it at all, or if we say the things we don't like, probably we should also say the things we do like to give us a sense of perspective and fairness. It's not the case that any culture is just nothing but badness, Everything has its pros and cons in life. For us to not become ideologues, we have to sort of be able to be aware of both the good and the bad of things.
What are you talking about, Sam? You saying there's good people on both sides?
Sam, do you mind repeating what the definition of the title is?
Okay, what I meant by white fatigue in the title is black people and people of color being tired of white people's bullshit, because I was making fun of the term black fatigue, which refers to white people being tired of another black person complaining about racism, another black person not taking responsibility, another black person sort of never focusing on their own issues and only focusing on other people, and that they call that black fatigue. That's what the whites are calling that. So I wanted to sort of turn it around and say, what are we sick of about white culture, and what are we what tires us about it?
Oh, I would love to answer that. I am sick of white people and white culture taking on everyone else's problems, playing into this narrative that somehow white people are the villains in history, that they're somehow have done exceptional harms to people when you look throughout history, various people groups